Hey everyone, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. So for this video, we're going to be going over the next upcoming Lost Chapters, going live soon on Global Opera Omnia, which is going to be featuring the return of the oh-so-lovable airhead from Type 0, CINQUE. Now, CINQUE is not going to be receiving a rework with this Lost Chapters, but she will be getting her EX weapon refeatured on the banner for this Lost Chapters, and her EX weapon can be realized now. Now, Snow is also going to be the highlight of this Lost Chapters because Snow finally gets a rework, which was absolutely needed since he was the tank that nobody used for a long time ever since Chaos came out, and he's also going to be seeing the debut of his EX weapon alongside its realization. So two very exciting things to look forward to for this particular Lost Chapters. And we are going to touch up a little bit on the Chaos difficulty boss fight against that Atlas type enemy called the Bastion Giant, so we're going to be going to cover that as well. And I just want to give again a big shout out to Rem and Dissidia DB because the information that you're going to be seeing in this video comes directly from the Dissidia DB, and as well as an amazing shout out to the Tonberry Troop for all the hard work that they put into for the infographics to give you guys a nice summary of what these characters can do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into CINQUE's Lost Chapters, coming soon to Global Opera Omnia.
かかってこいよ。くらえ。調子に乗んな。ぐるぐるっと。そう。
Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and start things off by talking about CINQUE, because she is the main character featured for this Lost Chapters. Now for those of you that are newer players, or you may have missed out on unlocking CINQUE when she first came out to DFFOO, in a nutshell, she deals a ton of damage, she has high overflow with all of her skills and her EX, and her whole little mechanic was she had a frame debuff called Stun. Stun was stackable up to 5 stacks, Stun reduces the enemy's defense by like 20%, and then she also reduces their speed by 10%. However, every time you add on a stack, it doesn't actually influence that number, which was a little unfortunate, but, you know, the defense drop, it really didn't matter because CINQUE just hits so hard. Now, the cool thing about Stun is that when you build up to 5 stacks, her skill 1 and 2 change into their plus variants, which in a sense, she hits harder, she has more overflow, so she's just dealing more and more damage, you know, when she has the Stun at 5 stacks. But the problem with that is she dispelled all 5 stacks of Stun after using the plus variants of her skills, which, you know, it hurt her usability, but I can see why they did that because CINQUE is an airhead, you know, she's like super strong, she's like this girl in a school uniform wielding a giant mace, you know, but in a sense she can't control her own power. That's how I kind of saw it, which was cute and all, but it did kind of affect her usability. Her EX was extremely powerful too. It can launch, it could also battery your allies after she launches. It also delays, but it also has a very slow recast rate, which sadly again hindered her performance because you wanted to have access to that EX ability, but at the same time it just took forever to build up. So similar to Caius, but actually a little bit worse because she's at very slow, whereas Caius is at least only at slow at starting. But we're gonna go ahead and take a look at what her EX realization gave her just to see if she did get any more improvement, because that's what she's going to be getting with the Lost Chapters. So 0 out of 3 is going to be improving her EX ability Whirling Mace. She gets a 10% recast speed increase, which is nice. So that way you have, you know, a little bit of a faster chance to have access to her EX ability. And we're also going to get a potency increase by 120%, which is nice. And she gets a brand new unique buff, called Mighty Maiden. And Mighty Maiden raises her attack by 20%. It raises her Brave overflow limit by 20% and increases Brave by 30% of max Brave. So she gets a regen, and she also gets increased overflow and attack, which is something that you do want with CINQUE because she's just there like smashing enemies down with her mace. And then she also gets her speed raised by 20%. And then at 1 out of 3, she's going to get those 2 permanent stat boosts like with every other EX. So it's going to be increasing her max Brave by 60% and attack by 40%. So you kind of see a theme going on here. They're just piling on as much offense onto this character. 2 out of 3, when the quest starts, she's going to be starting off with a 40% max Brave up, a 40% attack up, and her Mighty Maiden unique buff for 6 turns. So this character already has like her attack is going to be like skyrocketing through the roof on top of her max brave. And then when the battle starts, this is extremely helpful. All enemies for 4 turns will start off with 3 levels of her stun unique debuff. So that's going to make it a lot easier to reach those 5 stacks. And then afterwards, when you use Whirling Mace, she's also going to be recovering a skill point for her home run swing, which is her skill 2, up to its initial value. So she's going to get a little bit of longevity there, which is nice. And then finally, 3 out of 3, her Whirling Mace now becomes a 3-hit AoE melee brave attack plus a single target HP attack. However, it is delivered 3 times, so she's just going to be piling on more and more damage. It's also going to be getting a total brave damage potency increase by 180%, which is a lot. And then now what it's going to do is that all targets that get affected by this are going to have a 30% action delay up debuff on them for 4 turns. So that's actually pretty nice. So then, you know, now the enemies have their turn won't be coming as frequently when they take actions because of this debuff. And then now when Mighty Maiden is active, her brave attack is going to change it to Brave Attack Plus, which is a 2-hit AoE melee brave attack with an 80% it's 80% per hit, so it's at 160% brave damage potency. All targets are also going to be dealt for 3 levels of stun for 4 turns when you use this, which is nice. You know, she needs that. And then it also lowers the action delay by 6. And then her HP attack is going to change it to HP Attack Plus, which now batteries her own brave by 70% of her attack. And now she's going to be delivering a 2-hit melee brave attack plus HP attack with a 100% brave damage potency because each hit is at 50%. It has an overflow up to 120%, and same thing, she's going to be inflicting this time 2 levels of stun for 4 turns, but you know, it is the HP attack, so generally, you know, they try to balance things out when it comes to the Brave Attack Plus and the HP Attack Plus, so she has more options to build up, you know, those stacks of stun, because that's where you want Sync to be. You want her to have her stacks up as frequently as possible because she has access to the plus variant of her skills. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the sphere that we unlock from this weapon. So the sphere that we unlock is called Break Brave Gain. So Break Brave Gain, for the equipped character that has this, it's an A-type sphere. Whenever they break the target, they increase their brave by 10. They increase their brave, or they battery themselves by 10% of their max brave. So that's pretty nice. I like it. It's very, very good. So overall, it's a pretty good realization. I'm still a little disappointed that she still dispels her own stun stacks after using the plus variants of her abilities. But the cool thing is that now she inflicts 3 stacks when the quest starts, and she has other options to actually inflict the stun stack. So then that way she can actually build herself a little bit faster. I still would have preferred to have kept all 5 stacks on, but I could see why. Again, she's an airhead. They're trying to balance things out with the character. You know, she hits super hard, but at the same time, it's like she can't control her own strength. So I see the theme that they're going with this character. Now, we're going to talk about Snow next. So Snow was hardly used, especially after Zac came out, and then we got Bosch, and then we got Galuf with his OP rework and his EX realization. So Snow was the tank that was benched for quite a while, especially when Chaos first came out. And now with his rework and EX realization, this character becomes quite viable now for the Chaos era, for the remainder of the Chaos era. So first of all, his skill 1 Steel Guard is going to get 2 additional uses, which is great. It's now going to allow him to moderately raise his brave based on his initial brave, and that brave gain is applied to the whole party. So the cool thing about Snow, because the tank that's similar to him is Zac, because you know, they both put up like this shield that reduces incoming brave damage, you know, based on specific requirements. But with Snow, unlike Zac, where Zac is like a true tank where everything he does is literally for himself, Snow actually supports the party too. So I like how he has the brave gain. He also gets a brave heal overflow with that, up to 120% of max brave, so he provides even more. And then it also slightly improves the effects of Steel Guard, and what it does now is it grants 1 stack of a unique buff called Legion of Steel for 10 turns. It can go up to 3 stacks, and what that buff does, if we scroll down right down over here, so Legion of Steel has the following effects: raises initial brave, max brave, and attack based on the number of stacks. So every time you get a stack, those statistics go up, the increases. It also recovers brave based on the number of stacks, and he gains 1 additional stack every time he's receiving a brave attack. It only happens once per turn, but that's how he essentially is able to increase the stacks of Legion of Steel. But since he is going to be provoking enemies with this, and it's an AoE provoke, he's going to be guaranteed to be taking the damage for your party, which is nice. And then he's now going to be triggering a 2-hit melee Brave plus HP attack after usage with a Brave overflow of 150%, and he also raises his Brave based on 30% of the HP damage dealt. So Snow now deals damage after this, and then based on the damage that he deals, he also gives himself back a little bit of Brave. So in case you don't have, his defenses aren't quite up, that he still has Brave to back himself up, which is really, really cool. And now when Legion of Steel is active, his Brave attack will change to Brave attack plus. It now has 2 Brave hits. It also gets a moderate Brave, increase, the Brave damage potency. And now his Brave attack plus also raises the party's Brave based on his initial Brave. It's 70% of initial Brave. And then his HP attack changes into HP attack plus while Legion of Steel is active, which raises Brave again based on max Brave before he actually attacks. And it's a single target melee Brave plus HP attack. And then it also raises Brave based on 10% of the HP damage dealt. So Snow is going to be getting some nice options, going to be getting some good longevity, and he's also going to be helping the party out by actually giving them some Brave when he uses Steel Guard. So that's very, very nice. And then his skill 2 Frost Strike gets 4 additional uses now. It's going to be getting it's going to be dealing 4 Brave hits now. It's also going to have a tremendous Brave damage potency increase, which is nice. It has an overflow up to 120% of max Brave, and now what it does is he restores his HP based on the HP damage he deals up to 20% of max HP, which is really, really good that he can also self-sustain himself and keep himself alive. So not only is he able to keep his Brave up, but he's also able to keep his HP up. So as you can see right here, very, very powerful rework. And then we're just going to go ahead and touch up on his auras. So he already had this before, but just a reminder, his level 68 aura or passive raises the party's max HP and attack by 10%. So if you have Snow in your party is going to be hitting a little bit harder, and also they're going to be getting an HP boost, which is always good. So the character definitely got a well-deserved rework. So now you now have another tank, provided that you pull for this character that you could rely on for some of the other chaos stages that we're going to be seeing. And also, if you need a tank for specific FEODs, well, here's Snow to help you out with that. So you got Snow for that. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at his EX weapon, which is called Paladin. So it equips the EX ability called Sovereign Fist, and you could see it right over here. We're actually going to take a look at the ability, which is right over here, actually. So Sovereign Fist has a 300% Brave damage potency. It's a 5-hit AoE melee Brave plus single target HP attack. It gets that 60% Brave damage potency increase if there's just one target. It has an overflow up to 120% of max Brave. It has splash damage, 50% HP splash damage to non-targets. It also raises Brave based on 20% of HP damage dealt to the target. So again, he is Brave healing himself after he deals damage. So he's staying consistent. He's able to self-sustain himself. And he also grants himself a new unique buff called Fervent Hero for 6 turns. And he also provokes all enemies for 5 turns with his EX ability. And Fervent Hero has the following effects. He raises his own initial Brave and max Brave. And he also reduces the HP damage taken by the party. So now we have yet another unit who could reduce the amount of HP damage that the party receives. And this time it's in the form of an aura applied to your allies, because as long as this buff is active on Snow, that effect applies to your party, which is really, really good. And to top it off, the recast speed at base is normal. So when you fully max limit break this at base, it's going to be around slightly fast. So you could count on, using this EX ability quite often, which is really, really nice. Now, when you finally realize this EX weapon, he's going to be getting the following upgrades. So at 0 out of 3, Sovereign Fist, which is EX ability, is going to be getting more Brave damage potency, and also is going to be increasing that Brave overflow. So he's going to just be dealing more damage overall at 0 out of 3. At 1 out of 3, he's going to be permanently raising his max Brave and attack, which is nice. At 2 out of 3, he starts the quest with that Fervent Hero. So you could take advantage of that, that HP party damage reduction right away at 2 out of 3, which is cool. And then his first turn does not consume an ability usage. So you could just use Steel Guard or Frost Strike right off the bat without having to worry about depleting an ability usage, which is really, really cool. And then when Fervent Hero is active, he's going to have access to Brave Attack ++, which is a 2-hit melee Brave attack, and it raises the party's Brave based on initial Brave. And then he'll also have access to HP Attack ++, which raises Brave based on his max Brave before he actually attacks. He'll do that melee Brave plus HP attack. It has a 120% Brave overflow, and he also heals his Brave based on 20% of the HP damage he deals. And finally, 3 out of 3 further upgrades Sovereign Fist. So now it is going to be a 3-hit AoE Melee Brave plus single target HP attack, followed by a 5-hit AoE Melee Brave plus single target HP attack. So he's going to be doing two Brave plus HP attacks, with the second one being stronger. It's going to be getting more Brave damage potency. And anytime Snow breaks or is already attacking a broken target, he's going to be dealing 80% HP splash damage to other targets. So very, very powerful EX ability, especially with the full realization. And finally, the sphere is a B-type sphere called Target Attack Up. So what this does is it allows the equipped character to raise their attack by 10% when they're attacking an enemy that is targeting them. So this is absolutely perfect, not only for Snow, but also for Zack, because Zack wants as much attack too. So then that way, you know, he takes advantage of the damage he deals as that pure offensive tank. So very, very good sphere, especially for characters that specifically focus on, you know, tanking, which is, you know, Zack, Snow, Warrior of Light. But specifically, I would use this more so for like Zack or Snow, because they benefit from this the best. So after covering both of these characters and seeing what they do with their EX weapons and their realizations, what are my thoughts? Should you be investing gems and tickets on this banner? Now, for me personally, if you ask me personally, I actually want to pull on this banner because, well, for one, I missed out on getting Bosch. I didn't get all of his gear. And two, because Snow is a tank and he also has a little bit of a support utility, I find a lot of value in that. And he also self-sustains himself, so you don't necessarily need to rely on a healer for Snow, because he's also reducing HP damage that's incoming, and he also can heal himself, which makes him a very, very powerful and solid tank. Now, I know that a lot of people say that, hey, if you have Zack, you don't necessarily need Snow. I think that even if you do have Zack, Snow is actually still a pretty solid character to pick up because of the fact that he functions as like a pseudo support, whereas Zack is like a pure tank. You know, he takes all the aggro, he deals a lot of damage, but everything is pretty much for himself, where Snow actually helps your party out a little bit, and that's where I find a little bit more value with Snow. So Snow is definitely the highlight of the banner for this Sync Lost chapters. Now, as far as Sync, for me, if you don't have Selfie, because Selfie is kind of her best friend because of her super slow EX charge rate, even with the realization, Sync right now, unfortunately, she's outclassed only because of two factors for me. One, she still dispels all 5 stacks of stun. While you could build the stacks up a little bit better with the realization, it doesn't change the fact that she dispels her own debuff, which makes no sense. You know, if you're going to be taking a character that you want to be consistent, you'd rather have them actually use, you know, their abilities to their full capability, you know, to their maximum potential. Whereas, you know, where Sync wants to have 5 stacks of stun, but the fact that she still dispels it hurts her usability for me. And then her EX ability, it's still pretty slow. So for me, I don't have Selfie, so, you know, Sync for me is if I get her EX weapon, then yay. You know, she is still pretty powerful. It's just that she requires a little bit more TLC to use, you know, compared to some of the other damage dealing characters. So more than likely, Sync is probably not the one you want to pull for unless you actually really like this character. But definitely Snow for me is worth it. I would go tickets first. I don't think this banner is pity worthy at all, because especially we're going to be seeing some insane banners coming out within the next few months. But it's definitely worth sinking, you know, some tickets into it. Maybe a gem pull or two, especially for Snow. But that's going to be my overall thoughts on the banner. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Chaos difficulty boss fight next for the Bastion Giant boss fight. So let's go ahead and move on to that. Our final topic for this video will be covering the Chaos difficulty boss fight against the Bastion Giant. This will be a single target boss fight, with the boss being weak to the ice element, resistant to magic brave damage, resistant to the paralysis debuff, and immune to the max HP down debuff. When the fight starts, the boss will have the ability to take 2 consecutive actions. During certain HP thresholds, the action count increases, which can be very dangerous, especially if you get broken, as it will likely result in a KO'd party member. Bastion Giant inflicts debuffs such as Initial Brave down, Attack down, Defense down, and Speed down. It will also increase its statistics at certain HP thresholds, making its consecutive actions even more dangerous. Lastly, the boss has a high turn rate with its ability Gigant Punch when it breaks or attacks a broken target. Sync's ability to reduce speed and inflict action delay up is very useful to control the boss's high turn rate. Other characters who can reduce speed, such as Sephiroth, can be very useful for this fight. Because this is a single target fight, you can deploy the delay strategy with non-magic characters such as Aranea, General Leo, and others who possess the delay mechanic. Tanks such as Snow can assist in mitigating the damage from its consecutive attacks. Porum can also be a very valuable support for this fight to reduce the incoming HP damage your party will receive. All in all, just watch out for the consecutive actions and this fight should be fairly manageable. This concludes my video for the upcoming Sync Lost chapters. Thank you again for watching and thank you for all the support you guys have shown to this channel. This is 40 the Broadway Saiyan, signing out. Mahal everyone.